Hello, and welcome to our Parenting Masterclass. My name is Angela Hunt. I'm the Center Director at Sentia Early Learning. We are your neighborhood childcare center here in our 15 William 452 Flinders Street precinct. And it is my pleasure to share this time with you today. Now, I come to you not as an expert, but as a fellow learner, learning every day from these children and from other parents. But I do count it a privilege to share with you what I know. And I hope that some of the things that we chat about today are challenging, encouraging, and helpful in some way. So I respectfully acknowledge the land on which we meet. We are proudly perched on the Bunwurrung land and love sharing a love of land, a love of country, and the story of this place with our children at Sentia every day. I will share my screen with you all now, and we will begin our journey together. So what we'll be exploring is the concept of perfect parents. Is there such a thing? We'll get back to basics and talk about, if you do nothing else, if you're completely lost and confused, strip it all away and let's talk about what to do as basic building blocks. And then last but not least, we will explore self-care and survival, how to survive parenting. I survived. These are my three handsome men, my three sons. They range from 25 to 30 years of age. And I'm going to say they're probably my proudest qualification. The fact that they're independent, thriving in their lives makes me a very proud mom. I also have formal training in the field of early childhood. I am a VIT registered teacher and have been in center management, early learning centers for the last 15 years. So all up, several decades of experience. I'd like to ask for a show of hands, if I could see you all. Will the perfect parent please raise their hand? Juggling, work, life, commute, cooking, snacks, ballet, swimming, and the occasional tantrum. I suspect there aren't many out there who would identify themselves as perfect parents. And there's a reason for that. It is undoubtedly the hardest job in the world. And you add to that the fact that we have so many expert opinions coming our way. We have a whole scale, a spectrum of parenting styles. We have the authoritarian, ultra-controlling, do as I say, don't ask questions. We have the authoritative, which sits somewhere in the middle, my personal favorite, which talks about clear and consistent boundaries and positive feedback, pouncing on the positive behavior. You have helicopter parents, and I do see a few of these days, trying to control every situation, trying to avoid accidents and danger, offering guidance, almost too much guidance, jumping in before the child has a chance to even try, which ultimately builds their own self-confidence. So on top of that, you probably have your mother and your mother-in-law, your nonna. We have the way that we were raised, which is probably not spoken about enough, but that becomes our default. All the things that you said you'd never do, you find yourself doing. So unless we make a conscious decision to choose our parenting style and make a plan, chances are we do fall into those habits. Some good, some bad. But when it comes down to it, really, nobody knows your child like you do. And I would like to encourage you today with the fact that you really should trust yourself. Your instincts for your child are probably right. They're probably best. And as much as you can, tune into that. Beyond that, there are some basic theoretical frameworks that I would like to share during our session today. The first being basic attachment theory. And in early childhood, many of our frameworks are grounded in attachment theory. And this is actually my favorite graphic depicting how attachment theory works. It's called the Circle of Security. And it was developed by experts, psychologists in the Pacific Northwest region of the United States several decades ago. Basically, we start over on the left-hand side with the hands. The hands of the parent form the secure base from which children can explore. And that's what the circle is all about. It's a circle of love, a circle of exploration. While we are the hands, the secure base for a child or children, they need us to support them. How do we support? By watching over them, delighting in them. Wow, look at you. Aren't you clever? Look what you did. Help them if they get stuck, teaching the baby how to turn around and go down the steps backwards, and enjoy. And we will be talking about enjoying with your child quite a few times today. So stay tuned. Eventually, the child gets tired, gets hungry, has an injury, comes back on the circle. And when they do that, they need us to welcome their coming back and provide a safe haven once more for them to come into and feel safe, to protect them, to comfort them, to delight in them. Weren't you clever? Weren't you brave? And most of all, help them organize their feelings. It's probably one of the most important things that we do as parents is give our children that emotional vocabulary for hopefully high emotional intelligence in the future. Help them organize their feelings. Oh, I can see that you're very sad right now. Oh, you really want to build that Lego, but you're frustrated, aren't you? Just giving them words, giving them the label for what they're feeling, those big feelings in particular. And always be bigger, stronger, wiser, and kind. When possible, we do follow our child's lead, but when necessary, we take charge. For example, if a child is about to run out into traffic, of course, we take charge. So that leads me to our next theoretical framework, which is Mr. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Most of you have probably heard of this. Basically, the inverted triangle, which has as a strong foundation the section in orange, the physiological needs. And you and I both know that sometimes a good day of parenting is just a day that everybody is fed, watered, and safe. The next tier is safety. So it is that emotional safety. It is providing the four walls. It is holding the hand while we cross the street. Then we come to love and belonging. Those very, very warm and empathetic and nurturing feelings. Those are very important deposits in the bank. Your child knows that this is a safe and comforting place. And then we have esteem in the green. Go you, what a great job. Unfortunately, I see sometimes too much of this nowadays as well. Not everybody can win first place. It's okay for children to be second. In fact, it's important for them to learn what failure feels like, because life is full of it. And that's how we equip them for life. And ultimately, our aim is self-actualization. They're at the very tippy top of that triangle. where we see in blue self-actualization, where a person, an individual, can do all of these things for themselves. So let's bring it all together now. I think it's very important to set clear and honest parenting goals. Be clear about where you want to end up. Do you want that self-actualized, independent human being at the end of your parenting project? Be honest with yourself. Do you want your child to be your best friend? Do you like the feeling of your child being reliant on you and needing you? I would offer to you that that is perhaps something to be explored further and perhaps not the healthiest outcome to seek. But whatever you do, make a plan and stick to it. As one of my favorite mentors and coaches, Brene Brown, says, clear is kind. Children need to know what is expected. They need to know the boundaries, and those boundaries and rules and expectations need to be consistent. Make a plan and stick to it, even when it's hard. And this is the toughest thing about parenting, is it will challenge you to the core. When you are tired, when you are cranky, when you are down, when you're just frustrated yourself about something else, that's when the child can challenge you. And it more than ever is when it's important to be consistent. So it's good for us. Makes us a better version of ourselves, helps us to grow up as well, gain our own level of maturity, but it is tough. And now the final section, which is probably the most important section of our chat today, self-care. You're no good as a parent if you are burnt out, exhausted. So I believe self-care is the key to being the best parent that you can be. I encourage you to take time out for yourself regularly. Have those spa days with your girlfriends. Hire the babysitter so that you can go out for dinner as a couple. Very important to nurture your relationship. If you are in a co-parenting, nurture your relationship with your partner. And for goodness sakes, when people offer to help you, say yes. Don't be a super mom or a super dad, superhuman. Remember, perfect parent is a myth. So finally, I'd love to share some little observations from my own personal experience, several decades worth. Children will challenge boundaries at the worst possible times. What do I mean by that? Well, when you step out for dinner, the dinner you've really been looking forward to, that's when the tantrum strikes. Be prepared for those moments. Have a plan. Be consistent. Tag team if you can. Your mother-in-law's coming over and everything goes topsy-turvy. Be prepared. Have a plan. I found that children often reflect their parents' energy. So some of the most laid-back, chilled, grounded, balanced babies and children that I've seen come from the most laid-back, chilled, grounded parents. So very important to control yourself, manage your own emotions. If you need to, do the work. But your children will reflect your energy. They will feed off of that. So very important that we manage that, we control that. We are the adults in the relationship. I believe if you do the hard work early, and by early I mean the first 3 years, the first 3.5 years, it will be tough. But if you do that and you set clear and consistent boundaries, loving, secure relationship, lots of laughter, you will only need minor course correction moving forward. Nature versus nurture. I believe sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves as parents. Yes, we're important. Yes, we're key, but it's not all on our shoulders. In so many ways, children often are who they're going to be. Their personalities, their identities they are who they are. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. You can't break them. And last but not least, shared laughter is a wonderful way of putting deposits in that emotional bank so that when you do need to set limits, your child will be bonded with you and be more inclined to actually listen and follow your instructions. So just in summary, we've talked about the fact that there's no such thing as a perfect parent. Remember the basics: attachment theory, Mr. Maslow, clear, consistent parenting, self-care, put on your own oxygen mask first, and then the nuggets that I shared with you. I trust that you've enjoyed our time together today. And if you do have any questions, feel free to contact me at Sentia Early Learning. This has been a proud presentation of the 15 William 452 Flinders Street and Sentia Early Learning Community. Bye.